Thank you so much, and thanks again for being so patient. But if it was going to be any stage, it's the one with the YA on it that's going to have the coolest audience, who is going to be so cool about it. So thank you. And just so you know a little bit about Chanel, she is a high school science teacher who traveled here from Atlanta, Georgia. And she has the coolest stuff to say about her debut book, Needy Little Things. Has anyone read this yet? I know it's brand new. Nice. Okay, so we'll go light on the spoilers, but we will still make it very much worth reading. So welcome, Chanel.
Hi guys, I'm so happy to be here. I guess I can tell you a little bit about Needy Little Things. It's a young adult speculative mystery that follows 17-year-old Soraya Bryant, who has the magical ability to hear what people need before they know they need it. So these are like tangible things usually, like a pencil, a hair tie, a phone charger, stuff like that. So one day she goes to a music festival with her friends and she fulfills a need for her friend Deja, who vanishes shortly after. And this is actually not the first time Soraya has had a friend land on the missing persons list. So this time she's really determined to make sure her friend comes home. So the book is largely about disparities in media coverage between white and black missing persons, but it's also about friendship, it's about family, it's about mental health, and learning how to manage our own needs while balancing being there for the people we care about. And that last part is what I really wanted to explore a lot with like Soraya's magical ability.
Yeah, absolutely. The magical ability is really fun, and she's got a Santa bag she carries around with her, as dubbed by her little brother. And what I really liked about reading this book is that I have teens in my life. They're right there. Don't look at them. They're going to make it so embarrassing. And your teens in your book sound exactly like real life teens. So how did you manage that? I know you're surrounded in high school, but it's still so easy to become very cringe.
It is. Yeah, so I do teach high school students, 9 through 12th grade, and I've been doing that for quite some time. And I listen to them. I'm nosy. I try to, ask them. I'll get advice from them on drafts. Like I'll write a line, and if it's one that I'm worried about, I'll check because it's necessary. I'm not trying to embarrass myself.
And they'll be so honest.
Yeah, they will. They will. So that really helps. But just in talking to them, staying in conversation with them, instead of obviously I'm a teacher, I'm the adult in the room, but I like to get to know them on a personal level and just, stay into what they're into, talk to them, check in with them. So that makes it a little easier. I'm also just a really kind of shy and introverted person, so I do a lot of just sitting and observing and listening, and I think that helps a lot. But you mentioned about Santa bag, right?
Yes, tell me more about Santa bag.
Yeah, so in the book, Soraya's little brother, Josiah, named the bag Santa bag because it's a red bag and it has a bunch of random stuff in it that she gives to people. But it was actually, for me, the Santa bag name was a nod to the inspiration behind Soraya's gift. So I love the original Twilight Zone, like the black and white old school Twilight Zone. I used to watch that with my great grandmother, who lived to be 100. I'm glad I got her so long.
Iconic.
Yeah. So there's actually an episode called What You Need, about a man with kind of a similar ability to Soraya, and that episode came out on Christmas Day in 1959. So Santa bag was kind of a little nod to that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what other things influenced the writing of this book? What else did you draw from?
Yeah, well, I can talk more about Soraya's gift and that relation to that episode. So with Soraya's gift, I really originally was okay, I like this gift in the Twilight Zone episode. That's really cool. But as I wrote it, it kind of became a metaphor for I think something that a lot of women, and especially women of color and black women, can relate to, and it's this idea that we be both strong and self-sacrificing, and that there's this kind of societal expectation that we are helpful and we're nurturers and we're educators, and that's great. We should help people. We should want to do that, but we need to make sure that we don't do it at the expense of our own well-being, right? So, and I think it's something that's so ingrained that when we take time to rest and recharge, that there can be some guilt associated with it, where you kind of feel like I shouldn't be resting or I have to earn this rest. Mm-hmm. And Soraya experiences that a lot with her ability. So in the book, she's constantly hearing the needs of other people, and in order to stop the noise in her head, she has to fulfill those needs. So she does that to help herself, but it's kind of this balance between am I doing this for me? Am I doing it for other people? If she doesn't fulfill the need, she actually experiences physical pain in the form of migraines.
Yeah.
So it's this kind of constant pressure for her, and she feels bad when she can't do it. So
Yeah, I love how in the description of the novel, it's like, ooh, she has this superpower, and that's really fun, but then you get to see just what kind of toll it takes on her.
yeah, it's fun, like superpowers that don't always feel so super.
Yeah.
And just, I think, so Soraya's literal black girl magic, right? She has magical ability. But I think it's important that we remember that all the amazing things we have to offer, like no one is owed your gifts, right? You have to protect yourself, set your boundaries, and that's something that you have to learn how to do, right?
Yeah.
It's not just something we just know intuitively. So Soraya's struggling through that throughout the book, trying to find the line between doing what's good for her and what's good for the people she cares about.
Yeah, and it's foisted upon her. It's not like she was
She didn't
decided to give this piece of her heart to everyone. So there is that kind of, the struggle is constant, and you can really feel it even if you have not been in her situation. It's really something that helps us do the thing that fiction does the best, which is give us that compassion and empathy. So it is a really great character to follow, and she's funny, and her friends are funny. But you mentioned that she feels like she owes people around her to give it to her, and that actually gets her into a really big fight with her friend. Can you talk about this friend fight in the book?
So the friendships in the book were really important to me. So she has a couple of best friends in the book. Well, her main best friend is Malcolm. One of her best friends, Tessa, has been missing for quite some time and was the twin sister of Malcolm. So the friendships were important for me to develop because I don't have any siblings. So my best friends are like my kind of closest people. And that's so valuable to me. And I think it's important that we kind of explore these non-familiar relationships that are significant to us. So, Soraya and Malcolm's relationship's really complex, and they would do anything for each other, and they also hurt each other in a lot of ways. And I've had some people who are like, oh, after some things that go down, like, why is Soraya still friends with him? Like, he's family, and that's complicated, right? So that's what I kind of
Yeah, raise your hand if your best friends ever said something that really hurts, right? Yeah, slash sibling. They're like each other. Yeah, it just felt so realistic, and I think a lot of books for YA or for adults don't always go there and show you like the really ugly things that friendship can do, and then how you can overcome and connect again. So were you drawing on a real friend fight you've ever had?
I've had some friend fights. I've had some friend fights that happened and that had to be the end. And that's a thing too, right? Realizing like, where's the line? There are sometimes friendship situations where there's like an ongoing kind of back and forth where we're working through things. And I think that's kind of where it goes with Soraya and Malcolm. Is they've got things they need to work out with each other. And then you've got the stuff that's just like, we can get through it and move on, and it's great. So I've had a little bit of all of that. So some of it didn't happen until actually after I wrote the book, and I was like, let me lean on Soraya for how to get through this.
Yeah,
because,
Soraya, Santa
I'm glad I've thought about how to deal with this because,
You're prepared. Writing a book means that you can pre-solve some of your problems,
or some things before you experience them yourself.
That's incredible. Those characters and the friendships and the things that they're anxious about are so well developed. I'm wondering how those teens ended up in your brain.
Yeah, I think Soraya, in a lot of ways, she is like kind of, in my head, just a person, has a lot of traits that I would like to personally embody. And sometimes I feel like her giving nature, and some of that, her giving nature is not all coming from her personality. It's because she's going to be in physical pain. But I have moments where I feel like I am too selfish or not doing enough for other people. So I wanted to write a character who kind of was like on the opposite side of that. And writing Soraya and Malcolm was really, really interesting because about Tessa, who is their missing sister, missing friend, right? Malcolm is very angry about the situation, about his sister not being found. And Soraya has moved more into a grieving stage of missing her, but less angry. And anger is not an emotion that I like manage well. I don't like to be angry. I feel like I don't know what to do with that feeling. I don't get angry easily. So writing Malcolm was really interesting for me, and it was fun to explore, just like someone who's mad and out loud with their anger. That's something that I think I tend to suppress, and so that was easier to write when it came to Soraya, because it's there, but it's hidden beneath a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. Did it feel good to be mad?
Yeah, writing Malcolm was fun. Well, Malcolm is funny. I think he's
great.
funny. He's funny.
He's very funny.
He's mad. He's got a lot going on, but he was a really fun character.
He's got
right?
fashion.
Yes, he does.
He is so wonderful. I hope you are writing more books and Malcolm's in them. A little bit of pressure. We all need to give our favorite authors, a little bit of pressure so they write more things and are mean to characters for our entertainment. Just kidding. And it is significant that the girl who is missing, Tessa, the sister/friend, is a Black girl, and you contrast that with another girl that goes missing, and she is a white girl, and she is kind of a perfect victim. And her absence or her going missing kind of mobilizes the whole community. Everyone's mad and loud, and Tessa doesn't get nearly enough of that, even though she's just as loved and just as amazing, even though anyone who would go missing deserves that. So what is it that clearly you have something that you're drawing on to talk about?
Yeah, so when I first got the idea for this book, it started with Soraya and her ability. It didn't turn into the missing person mystery part until around the first time when I got the idea was when Gabby Petito disappeared. And obviously, if you know that name, there's like a Netflix special about it. But around the time she disappeared, her case went mega viral, right? Everyone was talking about it. It renewed conversations about whose stories get told and why. And social media ended up playing a really big role in them finding her, right? Like the people were on TikTok, they saw the van, like all of that that virality helped to find her. And, it leads to and she deserved that, she deserved to be found, everyone does.
Absolutely.
But it also started conversations about, why don't these other stories get told? And, a very small percentage of any missing person's case is going to be viral like that. But when they are, they tend to be a certain kind of person. So in the book, the white girl who goes missing, her name's Casey. It didn't end well for her, but she was found. And Malcolm and Soraya are thinking back about Tessa, and they're like, she didn't get this attention, because Tessa had disappeared before that. So when Deja disappears, they're like, okay, well, it's been some time. Maybe social media wasn't what it was when Tessa disappeared. Okay, but now it hasn't been long since Casey disappeared. Now Deja's gone. She should get the same treatment, right? Well, they realize it's kind of not happening, so Soraya and her friends are trying to do everything they can to make sure Deja's name gets out there and that she gets found.
And it's another more labor that they have to do, emotional, and because they try really hard to get her disappearance to go viral.
Yeah, and there's this feeling of like, we need to and we want to, but we shouldn't have to, and that's enraging, right?
Yes, you have to take that on, and just to have people care, like that, the pain and rage of that really comes through. And there are other books on those kinds of topics. If you want to tell us more reading material, so we can, become better people who know about this.
Like other novels?
Yeah, we talked about one in particular.
Monday's Not Coming is like the big one, right? Tiffany D. Jackson, that's a great book that's also about that topic, It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's a good one. There is always disappearance of Black girls or Native girls that is...
Looking for Smoke is a good one for Indigenous women.
Yeah, Kay Cobell was here last festival, so you can find her video online, and Tiffany D. Jackson is here today, so go... ask her why she is so mean to her characters also. Yeah, there is a lot of effort to tell these kinds of stories, and the stories deserve to be told just as much. So thank you for shining a light on these things through this fictional novel that feels just as real and just as important as real life. So the power of fiction, right? Yeah, and you kind of touched on this, the fact that you decided to make your main character a girl, and the fact that she has this nurturing skill that she is forced to give. Like, can you talk about the fact that you could have chosen anyone and it was a girl?
Yeah, I actually had someone ask me recently how I think the story would have gone if Malcolm had Soraya's ability, and it would have been quite different because one, he is male, and you have that difference right there already. And from the beginning, like Malcolm's like, "Oh, why don't you hustle your ability for cash?" And he's like, "I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Like, why don't you just do this or do that?" And I think he would have been open to doing that sort of thing much sooner than Soraya had. I think it just would have been easier for him. Or there'd be less guilt for him in putting himself first. It's just, and that's just, a feature of our
feature,
It's just how it is. I don't think it would have been something that's in his head the same way. I also think he would have gotten into even more trouble than Soraya would have. Just
would have
because
been chaos.
He's a little more, spicy. He's got
Absolutely.
a little more fiery. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have set people on fire, maybe, because that was really, really intense. One of the things that Soraya has in her Santa bag is a nail file. Mm-hmm. And the way that she feels the need is like the repetition, right? And if she's in a crowd, she hears it more. So she's like hanging out, having a life, and it's like nail file, nail file, nail file. And then she gives it to the person who needs it, and then something happens, something a little gory. Mm-hmm. And can you tell us about the scene of writing something gross and shocking, and how you figured out what happens when you stab a nail file into someone's neck?
Yeah,
Chanel doesn't work.
My stepmother is a forensic pathologist, so she does autopsies. My dad did some crime scene he's done a lot of things, but he did some crime scene investigation. He's a blood spatter expert. I did an internship at the medical examiner's office in undergrad, so I've seen some things. and I've got some great people that can answer just some very thrillery book kinds of questions. And just like our conversations around the dinner table are not the kind of things that you would usually expect people to be talking about around food, but it's just chill. It's kind of like normal for us. So I call them up and I can text them like random questions, no context, about like what might happen if you stab someone with a nail file.
Yeah.
And it's just chill. They just answer and carry on with life.
Yeah. And then you're like, to clarify, what if it's in the jugular versus not?
Yeah, so that's really nice. And I teach forensic science now too, so that's just works.
So fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have fun questions for you too. Mm-hmm. Your students are also your readers. Yeah. So what is that like?
That's so much fun. So like obviously all sorts of people read YA, lots of adults read YA, but me being a high school teacher, it's nice to actually come in contact with teenage readers. And so whenever I see my students or students in my building reading my book, it's just the most exciting thing. And to hear how they are actually receiving it. Like I'll walk by classrooms and I'll see a kid with my book and I'm like, you're not supposed to be reading that right now. But also, I'm very glad that you're reading that right now. So it's like so complicated. Like even in my own room, I had a little 9th grade boy, and I love when boys pick up my book. But he was like, "What's this about?" And I was like, "Oh, read the flap." So he read it, and then I'm getting ready to start class, and we're supposed to be doing a lab, and I can see that he's deep into chapter 1, and I'm like, "We have science to do, but also get to the end of chapter 1." So we got stalled. We started our lab, but yeah. So it's just I feel so fortunate to be able to be around them and to hear their opinions, even when they're yelling at me about it, because some of them were like, "Misty, like you couldn't leave it like that." So so that's really nice.
That ending is mean, you guys. If you haven't read it yet, be prepared and tell us your socials so they can.
Yeah, it's at L Desmore, ELLE, and my last name everywhere.
And you have social media in your book too. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but how do you have social media as part of your life and part of the book?
Yeah, so in the book, social media is used to try to get Deja's trending. So they use the hashtag #FindDeja. Originally, it was Twitter. I'm pretty sure I stripped Twitter out of the book because it imploded while I was like, still in the editing phase. But you know, the idea is the same, right? So try to get someone going viral. I wanted to include that because that was what her friends were trying to accomplish. In my life, I don't like it. I mean, I'm not interested in going viral unless it's because people are buying my book. But I don't like to make content really.
I yell at Twitter.
Yeah,
Or at
I
TikTok.
feel so awkward. Yeah, I'll do it, but I feel very awkward about it. But yeah, it's part of our lives. I feel like I like when it's included in books because, I mean, my students are on it constantly, so it feels weird to not have it.
Yeah, it would be weird.
Yeah, even if it wasn't about them trying to get someone, go viral, it's part of their lives.
Part of it. Yeah, a lot of authors kind of cheat and are like, this is set in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I think it's bold for authors to be like,
and then
no, it's now.
it's like you sometimes are scared to name it because like something might happen to Twitter and it goes away and it's like, oh, this is aging the book. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that for a book to be in the time period that it's in.
Yeah, and it feels real, and later it'll be historical fiction.
Which, yeah. And there's actually a few mentions of Facebook in there, and
Yeah.
they are very clear to point out that is for the oldies.
For the oldies. Me.
But it actually comes in handy because the aunties on Facebook, they're going to say
The
some things.
aunties know.
Yeah, they know some things.
Yeah.
And they're going to hit share. So a few times, the same thing.
They'll share in real life. They'll share on Facebook. They will call. They'll Skype. Skype is gone, but they'll Skype.
Yeah.
They know what's up. I would want to ask you so many more questions about the book, but I also want people to get to know you a little bit. And one is that I suspect you have a hack for writing stories, and it's called playing The Sims.
So I love The Sims. I'm a builder. I'm not really a creative sim girl, but I will build my little tiny houses and just go into. But I actually pretty much any book I write, I have built their home, and it comes in handy though. Well, one is just fun, right? It makes them feel real, and then I'll get into create a sim and make my little characters. But I like to build their home just for I would sketch it out on paper anyway, so it's nice to kind of build and decorate. Here's their space, and just kind of making sure that this room's on the left, that room's on the right, so I have some consistencies in my book, so I can just open up their house on The Sims and explore. So
Do you ever have Malcolm and Soraya and Josh? We didn't talk about Josh yet.
Yeah.
Do you have them leave it unpaused and see what they would do?
I have not done that. That's interesting.
Who do you think would set the kitchen on fire?
Josiah would, Soraya's little brother, because he's always hungry and he's always in the kitchen.
He's so hungry.
Yeah. So
Just trying to make mac and cheese.
Yeah. He would cause some problems.
So when you play, do you ever delete the flatter and build a wall around the pool? Or are you nice to them?
Well, these days in The Sims 4, they don't need a ladder, so I'm just.
You have to go farther.
Yeah, but back in the day, I absolutely used to do that. Which is why I write their lures.
Yes, playing The Sims, I feel does something to your brain a little bit if you're doing it while growing up. It's super advanced Barbies, and you can make so much happen.
Yes.
It is so much fun. Have you gotten into any Sims adventures? Do you have a memorable playtime?
I build.
Build.
And I decorate.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens is I'll make my characters and I'll put them in their little house, and then we're having a great time. And I don't like the babies on The Sims. They're very needy.
They're needy little things.
Yeah, they're needy little things. And then I'll be I don't want them to have babies. And then they have babies. And then I'm why did I do this? And then I abandon them. So I'm gonna move on. So.
Moving on, we are going to have a dog, and that's it.
Yep.
Okay, so we talked about your Sims and your teaching time. And how about you as a writer? Because, hard to believe that this is a debut. It is it's so well put together, and the characters are great, and it's alive and so entertaining to read. What is it like to be a writer and not knowing that you will get published, right? You don't even know you're sitting down and writing. So what's that like? Do you write at reasonable hours after school? What do you snack?
I do nothing after school. So as I mentioned, I'm pretty introverted. But I mean, I love being in my classroom. I love nerding out about science all day. But at the end of the day, I am done. And I've been writing for quite some time. And I used to kind of have a routine of writing in the summers, and then when I'm off and have plenty of time, and then I could kind of revise lightly throughout the school year. But I realized if I kind of kept that routine, it would take me a long time to try to get to where I wanted to be as far as like trying to get published.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna have to figure out how I can work and write. And after school was just never going to be an option. I tried that too many times. All I want to do when I come home from work is sit on the couch and watch my shows and whatever.
Yeah.
So 5 a.m. is when I write. When I'm working, I wake up really early before work and do it then. But it's nice.
Yeah.
It's like before I've interacted with other people, I can just kind of sit with my characters and write for a little while, and then it really puts me in a good mood. I've heard some writers say like the best part of writing is having written, and I relate to that. Like I like the feeling of being done writing for the day, and then I can kind of just think about the writing session I had and what I want to do later.
That's so smart.
Yeah,
throughout the day.
Yeah, so I can go into my day feeling accomplished and knowing that there's not going to be this pressure later, like, oh, I need to go home and write. So
yeah, and they're doing something, and then your characters are doing something. You're done writing, and then you go to school, and someone says something incredible, and then you can put that away and then write it in later. Oh, such an inspiration, high school kids. It's the best. Do you eat some snacks? What snacks do you recommend for good brain writing?
I have such a sweet tooth. And my students get me eating their junk. So it's Takis, it's sweet, like all the spicy chips, the watermelon Sour Patch, the Nerds clusters, divine.
The pink or blue?
Both, yes.
Both, okay.
Yes, why not
Very
both?
good. Yeah, one of them. And do you have some a snuggle thing? Do you have a pet? Or a blankie?
Yeah, I have a pet. Her name is JoJo. She's a cat. No relation to JoJo in the book. That was the complete coincidence. I didn't even think of, I was calling him JoJo, just short for Josiah, well into the book before I made the connection that I call my cat JoJo. But yeah, coincidence.
Tell us about your cat.
Yeah,
what color?
She's calico or tabico. Tabby and Calico. So yeah, cute. She's a sweetie when she wants to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so allergic to cats, so I'm like, tell me about your cats.
Yeah, I was not a cat person until I met my cat, so.
Yeah,
I think that's how it goes for a lot of people. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you do, I just want to know what your skincare routine is, because flawless.
It's not anything very interesting.
Okay, gatekeeping.
Yeah, no, really, I don't even know what the name of my face wash is. But I use CeraVe moisturizer, lots of moisturizer, and that's kind of like the thing.
That is the thing. Keep yourselves moisturized, and you'll be young and creative.
And I was very frustrated. I did Carry On and the liquid thing and the lotion. I need my lotion. I
need several bottles. Okay, yeah, that is absolutely a necessity. Do you have any irrational fears? Or fully rational, too? Or you can tell us about your pet peeves.
I don't know. I don't think it's irrational. I'm not a spider person. I don't I won't write about a spider. I don't want to look at a spider.
You won't even write about one?
No.
Okay.
And there was a spider in the classroom the other day, and I showed my displeasure, and my students were like, "But you're a biology teacher." And I'm like, "What is your point?" I don't have to like all of life to be a biology teacher. But yeah.
You can respect them from far away.
I didn't kill it. I'm terrified to kill it, so somebody else dealt with it.
Okay. Yeah, the spiders have got to keep their distance, and that will be nice. Did you learn anything you did not already know about publishing when you actually took your book to the next level?
Yes, I would say the biggest thing that I learned is that the goals that I make for myself should be things that I am in control of. So there are so many parts, if you're trying to pursue publication, there's so many places where you are relying on someone else to say yes or someone else to, help you along the way. So I try to make sure that my measures for my own personal success and my own goals are about things that I can control myself. So if my goal is to finish drafting a new book this year or to get it out on submission to publishers, those are goals that are in my control. But to say like it's going to sell this year, like I can dream about that, absolutely, but like I don't want to let that be related to my feelings of success or not. So that was a big thing that I learned.
So you are able to take that power that sometimes feels like you don't have and give yourself the happiness that you so rightfully deserve. Have you had any adventures in publishing? I don't know if that's a weird question.
The whole thing is an adventure for sure.
Have you had any adventures today at the National Book Festival?
Like when it rained on my parade?
It rained on your parade?
My indoor, But it all worked out. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, you all are amazing for coming through water and tears and sweat to be here and welcome our amazing debut author, and just thank you for making the National Book Festival a magical time for all of our authors to get to meet their fans. Yeah. What is some of the feedback you've gotten from the people who've read your book, other than how dare you about this ending?
That's like the most common one.
Does it give you like a mwahaha, feeling?
It does, but I'm also taking from Soraya, I'm a bit of a people pleaser, and I'm just like, so am I working on a bonus chapter? Maybe. But
if you're not, I will be so mad.
I am. I am working on something to fulfill that. But that's kind of the biggest thing, but a lot of people just like share that they've enjoyed it, and like that's the best feeling.
Yeah.
Whether it's like relating to the characters or just like being pulled in by the twists and turns, it's fun.
Yeah, it's a definitely fast-moving roller coaster.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. What do you do when you are feeling stuck? And it's creative writing, but also in life in general.
Yeah.
Give us life advice.
My biggest thing with writing when I get stuck, it's usually because I'm getting in my head about something or I'm judging myself. So the big thing that I like to repeat to myself is to let it be bad, and worry about making it pretty later. So just write, period. And I know how to do that. Everyone, we can do that. And then you can kind of clean it up later. So let it be bad, jump around. You don't have to kind of go in order. If this is not pleasing or not working or not vibing for you right now, jump to something else and come back to that later. You can connect the dots.
And does that apply to real life? Like you're having a conversation with a family member and it's just not going well. You're like, let this be bad?
Yeah. No. Yeah, but I think that's the thing. Like, or you can, and the let it be bad part of that, conversations can be uncomfortable. They can be messy. Like, you can work through that. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to say the perfect thing at the perfect time. If you think about what you should have said later, you can come back and say it later. I'm going to think about what I should have said here later, and I won't be able to come back and say it later, but I'm going to think about it.
You'll think about it, and then you can write a blog post about it.
There we go.
And then we will post it, and it'll be great. It'll be a full circle moment. Wow, this has been so fun. You are a fascinating person, and just looking at you, you can't really tell the things that you know about autopsies and the inner lives of high school kids. So I'm glad you wrote your first book, and you will write more. And thanks for answering my questions.
Of course. And
we're gonna give you all a chance to ask some questions of Chanel. So we have a mic right here. Come on up, and we will let Chanel answer. Go ahead.
Hi, I really loved your first book, so I was wondering what you're working on next.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have another book coming out in February. It's called They Call Her Regret. It is like also another speculative mystery, but it's a lot more spooky. So it's about kind of got like witch in the woods, haunted dolls, that kind of vibe. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I am also a writer and also a teacher, and one of the things I've not published yet. I'm still working on my first novel, but one of the things that I worry about is like, especially under this climate, how it's going to be perceived by like parents and stuff. Is that something that you too worried about?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, if you have certain topics that you just kind of know are issues for people. But I think at the end of the day, if you let those things get in your head, it's going to water down your writing. So like write the book that you want to write, and say with confidence what you want to say. So at the end of the day, whatever anyone else tries to say to you, you know that your story is your own and that you did your best to give the message you wanted to give. The rest of it, like, people will find your book, the people it's meant for, right? Yeah.
Is there any advice that you would give a fellow writer?
Just to perseverance is the biggest thing. Like, keep pushing. It can be a long journey. For some people it's not, but just like love the work, love the writing. And when you get to the parts where you are like trying to find an agent or trying to get published, if you like the craft and you focus on your craft, that's what's going to keep the love for it alive. Because there's going to be a lot of moments where it just seems like it's pulling you down. But finding just the joy and just sitting with the page and putting your stories out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi.
Do you have a process or an authority or somebody you respect that you look up to get informed and make sure that the way you present material is done in a responsible way?
So with that, like as far as like things that I write, making sure that like things are represented well.
Topics.
Yeah. So, depending on the project, you can find like sensitivity readers. So like having a good community of fellow writers or even just friends that are diverse and have different experiences that you can allow to read your work before you put it out there is really useful because, if you want to tell diverse stories, you can have your perspectives, but there are things that you just are naturally not going to have the full view of. So finding those people and getting feedback from people who live in that world is really valuable. So just lots of friends. Luckily, like having a great diverse group of friends can come in handy for that. Like,
Sure
hey,
does.
you want to read the scene? But yeah.
Make friends, let things be bad.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, you guys. It's my fault that we have to wrap it up to make sure you get to the signing in time, but you're all welcome to ask questions in line. The rain knocked off my understanding of time. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for coming
Thank
here
you, guys.
today. Thank you for your questions. And thank you for coming to the National Book Festival. We are so glad to have you and to have you all. Happy 25th.
Thank you.